Frack on. Welcome to a very special episode of Frack The Canon. We are doing the 30th anniversary of Mortal Kombat. You have to say Mortal Kombat. You cannot say. You have to yell Mortal Kombat. You can't just say Mortal Kombat.
It's very hard to resist doing it, at least.
30 years of combating mortally.
Oh, that makes me feel terrible.
That made me feel weak in the knees.
Right.
Not because I'm old.
I remember it's 30th anniversary, right? So time to recollect. I remember that it was controversial when Mortal Kombat, the first one, finally came to consoles. Obviously, it was an arcade game first. And my dad, I couldn't get Mortal Kombat, the first game. I couldn't get it because my dad watched the news and they were talking about there's blood in it, and if you have blood in your games, your kid will become the devil. So I couldn't get Mortal Kombat, the first one, you know what I mean? And I grew up loving fighting games. But I remember my brother, who's about 10 years older than me, and he had to move back into the house. And he moved in, and I came home one day, and there he was in his room in the basement playing Mortal Kombat 2, the second Mortal Kombat game that came out. Unfortunately, the first one that I played. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 2, and I'm just looking at it what? Dad let this in the house, right? You know what I mean? He's just yeah, well, I just told him that there's a mode where you can turn the blood off, you know what I mean, on in the options. And you know what I mean, so we just play without blood. Obviously we didn't, but but it's it kicked off my Mortal Kombat career. And I'd like to say that I never looked back, but there was a long time when I did kind of drift away from Mortal Kombat. But oh my gosh, Mortal Kombat 2 and then the following sequels, you know what I mean, it was my life from then on, you know what I mean? And there were so many characters that were introduced in that one that, I loved, that I remember fondly still. I played with Reptile a lot in that game. I played with Melina a lot as well. But you hop around anyway, because it's a full roster. But hey, that's a past Mortal Kombat story for me. What about you? What you got going on over there?
I remember my first ever experience with Mortal Kombat. I was in a friend's house, and it was a console version too, but it was a single version too. And I remember we're playing, and I play with my friends, and then my dad joins us, and then my dad kind of takes my spot. I'm like, hey, what the frack, or whatever. But and then my friend you can turn the blood on, and he goes show me, and he showed them how to do it, and then he said we could start playing. And my mom comes in, and she goes no, because Mexican moms no blood, blah blah blah. I remember when we finally got a Sega Genesis. For my 8th birthday, my sister and I shared the Sega Genesis. My dad bought Mortal Kombat and put it on, and my parents got into a huge fight for that freaking game. But my dad's I don't care, I'm gonna play it. And so if he goes I remember saying, it's not fair that he can play it, but we can't. It's our system, and it's our system that you guys give us. And so I guess somehow I managed to be if he's gonna play it, we should be able to play it too. And we got to play it. But my mom was so livid at my dad for getting that game. But I just love that. I remember loving, because my go-to character was always Sub-Zero as a kid. Why? Because I like ice powers, and I didn't like Scorpion. Because I don't know, but I preferred I like if I color was blue and he had ice powers. I'm like, yes, Scorpion more. Sub-Zero is my guy. And then I kind of did I get two? I did. Did we get? I don't think we got two. I think we borrowed two a lot. I remember Reptile was the new big one. I'm like, I don't care for Reptile. I thought I didn't care for Reptile, but then the movie came out.
It has begun!
Nothing in this world can prepare you for Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat.
I'm like, Mortal Kombat!
And it's crazy to think about how tied that song is with Mortal Kombat lore, even though it came from the movie. And it wasn't until like I think Mortal Kombat 11, the last one that came out, that they even included it in the games.
With the G.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like, but it's like I love that though, that it kind of comes full circle and that it references like a thing that kind of transcended Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? It's like here's this thing. It was an arcade game, and then they made a movie out of it. And then after they made a movie out of it, they kept making video games. And it's like now it's like this huge, it's like a staple of the fighting game community of fans everywhere. You know what I mean? And like it's one of the most thought put into like a fighting game like story mode. Like, you know what I mean? And it has an actually interesting story and like and it's huge and like I mean, people love Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? People, it's like a staple. People love Mortal Kombat the same way people love Mario. You know what I mean? Like the same way people love, you know, I don't know, Ryu and Chun-Li and Power Rangers and like, you know what I mean? Just these big things, right? Like superheroes. You know what I mean? Like Mortal Kombat is up there with those.
Yep.
Like as like a huge powerhouse franchise that rakes in money. You know what I mean? It's cool. That trailer and
this one arcade game that we made in 1992 has managed to spawn off all these different forms of media.
I'm Liu Kang. It is an honor to duel with you.
Is it possible that the past and future are colliding?
It has begun!
Impressive. Fight! Get over! You're no soldier, Kung Lao. You don't show respect.
There's a good-looking guy. Well, look at the two of us.
Surprised to see me? I will make you regret it.
Finish him.
So speaking of 30th anniversaries, speaking of that little trailer, they call it a trailer, but I'm like, what are you trailer? What is the trailer for?
Yeah, it's not good.
Like, right? It's not a trailer. It's like a celebration video or whatever. But I thought that was really cool. I thought it was awesome. Like to see like all the things strung together. Like it's basically like mid combos, and they're cutting between like old school Mortal Kombat like 2, Mortal Kombat like 3 and 4, and then the movies, and then like in the shows, and then the cartoons, like and they're like fitting them all together, like, and it's like, wow, that's crazy, like how spot on they were with the references. It's crazy how like all this kind of fits together and how, you know what I mean, just Mortal Kombat for 30 years, like it's awesome. And if you're a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, like that's also awesome. Like it made me wish I had it. Like I own it, but it's not downloaded right now. It made me wish I had it downloaded so I could just like, you know, experience the 30th anniversary. I wonder if they are actually doing something crazy.
I would think they would re-release at least the first 3, you know, or at least the first one, because the first one kind of was the one that, for me, I remember the first one being the big one that blew it up, and then 2, because usually there's always like 2 makes something bigger, right? Like Street Fighter 2 was bigger than Street Fighter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic 2 was bigger than Sonic 1, but like Mortal Kombat 1 was the one that like just made it pop everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
but that's
go ahead.
Well, it was the first, because, you know, a bit of like, you know, video game history or whatever, right? Like, because like the first fighting game proper was Street Fighter 2.
Right.
But all the fighting games that came after that were just kind of copying off of what Street Fighter 2 was. And then Mortal Kombat, here's one that came and was like, you know what? We are going to make another fighting game like Street Fighter is, but we are consciously going to be different. You know what I mean? Like every way about how Street Fighter 2. And I remember like watching an interview or watching like a little Mortal Kombat doc and I believe it was Ed Boon that was saying as much. Like, it's like, listen, Capcom, we wanted to make another fighting game, but we wanted to do everything different from what Street Fighter did. Street Fighter is animated, so we're gonna take real actors and do our thing. Street Fighter had like these hard like kind of combos to do, so our combos are gonna be like left, right, X or whatever, instead of like, you know what I mean? Like instead of like having to do this and all that. Like I think that's really interesting, and it worked for them because it took them far. You know what I mean? And it has separated them from Street Fighter, in a lot of good ways, and some some not so good ways too. But yeah,
I don't know what to say. Just saying, 30th anniversary. We got. Let's do something for Mortal Kombat. Final comment. Final
it has begun.
thought.
And they had that in there in that little trailer too. I thought that was
Dude,
cool.
the fact that they brought that actor back, the dude from Johnny Tsunami,
It has begun.
For the game,
for the game, dude, I'm like, dude, that is dope. I'm like, what is his? What who he plays Chang Sung, right?
Shang Tsung, yeah.
I'm like, that is
I
so
thought that was
cool.
great. I thought that was amazing, dude. When we found that out, when it was coming to the game, man, I was stoked. I was like, are you kidding me? And then they had movie skins too, like
Yep,
for the characters that were in the movies. I thought that was great.
that was amazing. Amazing.
For Mortal Kombat. So it's really just, and I've been like kind of refreshing like my YouTube search and stuff every so often today, like just to see if they announce anything. You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna say anything about anything coming out, or was that it? You know? But yeah,
So
nothing.
far,
So
that's all I've done so far too. I'm like, nothing.
yeah, so maybe they won't. But hey, I'm excited. Hey, NetherRealm, keep at it. I'm excited to see what you got coming next, because this is like the longest break we've had between NetherRealm games. So it'll be interesting to see what they have next. It'll be interesting, like especially if it's just not Mortal Kombat 12. You know what I mean? Like it'll be cool.
Will be cool. Will be cool. Test your might. All right. We'll see you same freaking time, same freaking channel. Frack off.